Welcome back to day 7 of the Australian Open 2020. In this video I'm going to be previewing the last 16 matches that are going ahead tonight for me in the UK. On the men's side of the draw, first match I'm going to look at is Dominic Thiem against Gael Monfils. I think it's promising to be an outstanding match. It can't not be really. Both very entertaining players to watch, particularly Monfils. He's very unorthodox, and he plays tennis sometimes that's just outrageously good and very difficult for anybody in the world to play against. If he could produce that on a consistent basis, then he would be a multi-slam Grand Slam champion, but unfortunately for him he hasn't done that throughout his career yet. But he has played very well this week so far. As for Dominic Thiem, he's reached 2 French Open finals in the past. Unfortunately for him, meeting Rafael Nadal on both occasions in the final, and he hasn't managed to beat Rafael at the French Open. But as for Thiem, away from the French Open, his career has been a little bit disappointing for me. I think he has got all the tools in the box to be an outstanding player on hard court, on grass, but he hasn't really delivered yet. He hasn't made a big run at any tournament away from the French Open. Perhaps 20 years his year. He's getting more experienced every year, obviously. Into his late 20s now, and if he wants to break through the top 4 and win his maiden Grand Slam, perhaps this is his year. Got a good chance against Monfils to reach the quarterfinals, and he would obviously be facing Medvedev or Wawrinka in the next round. So it was a big chance for Dominic Thiem coming in this match. I think he needs a breakthrough performance almost. I haven't been massively impressed by Thiem's performances yet. He's had a nice draw and he's got through the matches, which is the most important thing. But his game's been littered with errors for me. It doesn't seem to be tying the ball particularly well this tournament from the back of the court. But one thing I will look at, I've been impressed by Dominic's game, is his net play. He's attacked the net with a lot more success this tournament than I've ever seen before. Perhaps that switch up will lead to a successful run for him. But I do think you need to time the ball a lot better, serve better, and be more aggressive off his backhand. He has got one of the best one-handed backhands in the game, but I don't think we've seen that to full effect yet. But for Thiem, he's one of them players where one performance could really kickstart his season and kickstart his tournament. Perhaps that tonight will be the night for him. And as I say, if he wins that match, he's up against Medvedev or Wawrinka in the quarter-final. Obviously a very tough tie for him, but it does present him an opportunity to reach the semi-final. He's not faced Djokovic or Nadal or Federer yet, and he's very capable of beating Medvedev or Wawrinka, and he's at his best, playing his best tennis. As for Monfils, he's had a good draw. He's come through that mishap. He's played some outstanding tennis at times, perhaps a little bit inconsistent, but he is playing very, very well. But the bad thing for Gael in this match, he's missing his biggest weapon, which is his serve. He's got through the matches so far, but he is nursing a hand injury, I believe, so his serve's way down on speed than what it usually is, which is seeing him serve less and less aces as the tournament progresses. To beat a player of Thiem's calibre, I do think Monfils would have to serve a lot of aces, win a lot of easy points, because in the longer rallies you do have to favour Dominic Thiem. Thiem's also a very solid returner. I can't see Monfils hitting many aces at all in this match with the way his serve has been in this tournament so far. But for Dominic Thiem, I just think as long as he returns well, plays an all-round solid enough game, gets his backhand swinging like he can, keeps attacking the net, which he has done this tournament, then I do think he wins this match pretty comfortably. Monfils may be able to nick a set on the tie break, but I think it's going to be very difficult for him to break Thiem and continue to hold serve with the way his serve has been so far in this tournament. So yeah, I'm predicting Thiem to come through that one. I hope he comes through in good style and plays a lot better than he has in previous rounds, and it sets up a huge tie for him against the Medvedev or Wawrinka in the next round in the quarter-final. I'm going to look at Medvedev now against Wawrinka. I think this is going to be an unbelievable match, stylistically. Very, very hard to split. I think it's probably the tie of the round so far. It's almost like a next gen coming through. Medvedev up against one of the old guard, Wawrinka. Wawrinka obviously winning 3 Grand Slam titles. Medvedev reaching just the one final so far in his career against Rafael Nadal at the US Open last year, which he lost in 5. It's youth versus experience. They both got very similar games, super backhands, brilliant serves. As for Medvedev, a few negatives from his tournament so far. I just think he needs to serve better than he has. He hasn't had a huge high first serve percentage. We all know how good his serve is when he makes it on a frequent occasion. Served him very well last year in the US Open. He had a high first serve percentage and allowed him to dominate opponents really from the back of the court, getting a short ball on the return and really opening up his forehand and backhand. He's obviously very strong off either wing, and for him to win this match, I think he needs to start well and lead from an early stage. There's something about me telling this match that Medvedev does win it. I think his all-round game at the minute is a little bit stronger than Stan's. Stan's struggled with his fitness over the last 18 months. He is 34-year-old now. I just think Medvedev's ability to switch up between net play and rallies, I think will cause Wawrinka problems. We all know how good Medvedev is at the net. If he's not rallying and successfully rallying with Wawrinka from the back of the court, he does have that ability to serve out wide and really attack the net with authority, which could serve him well. It could be something that Stan will struggle to deal with. But Stan, I would never write him off against anybody in the world really. He's served outstanding this tournament. He served 20 odd aces the other day. He's hitting a huge amount of winners, and he does look back to playing his best really. The big thing for Medvedev in this match, I think, is finding a way of neutralising Wawrinka's backhand. If he does allow Wawrinka to really set his backhand and hit it fluidly, get into a rhythm, then that's going to be a huge downfall for Medvedev, because Wawrinka does arguably have the best backhand, most aggressive backhand in the tournament. And once Wawrinka leads, he's a very, very good front runner. If he can get a set or two up Stan, he's a great server. And he's very clever about the way he performs. He's similar to Medvedev in the way he does have different game styles. He has ability to switch it up, but purely down to fitness. Medvedev, he does lack the experience that Wawrinka has in Grand Slams. He obviously hasn't reached. He's reached one final, but he hasn't won any yet. Whereas Wawrinka's won 3. I do see this match going to 5 sets. I think it's going to be a thriller, and it's a toss of a coin really who wins. I am going to edge towards Medvedev, just because he's 12 years younger than Stan. In the form of him last year, he obviously reached the US Open final. But you've obviously got Wawrinka's experience. Medvedev's got the youth. Wawrinka's got the experience, and if it was to go to a 5th set, it's a toss of a coin. Whoever takes the chances, whoever serves well, whoever takes the break points. I'm expecting tie breaks in the match, so it really, really could go either way. That one, but I will stick with my original pick of Medvedev to win that one and set up a quarter-final clash against Dominic Thiem. Next match is Andrei Rublev against Alexander Zverev. Rublev is probably on the best winning run of 2020 from men's or women's, I'd imagine. He's on a 12-match win streak, and he came in this tournament after winning 2 titles. I did worry for Rublev whether he'd peaked too early and whether them back-to-back titles would take it out of him stamina-wise. That doesn't look to be the case. He was up against David Goffin the other day, and I thought the courts would suit Goffin better. I think Goffin's a fantastic hardcore player. He times the ball very, very well. Got outstanding ground strokes. And I expected him to actually beat Rublev in that one, but Rublev just seemed to he's playing with so much confidence and freedom at the minute that he's one of them players that I think the more titles he wins, the better he's going to get. He's got massive trust in his A game, but he doesn't do, for me, I haven't seen a great deal of Rublev, but he doesn't have a really outstanding shot. His all-round game is exceptional. He's strong on both sides. He's a great runner. He's very quick around the court. He's very fit. He's got a good first and second serve. So although he hasn't got that game-winning shot, he does have every shot that he needs to, and he's exceptional all round. He's a very consistent player. He doesn't seem to go through lulls in matches. His mentality looks very strong, and I think he's just going to get better and better. He's still very young, Russian, and he's another one. He goes into the radar as a next gen. I think we always focus on Zverev, Tsitsipas, Medvedev, but perhaps Rublev could come under all the noses and be the first one to win a maiden Grand Slam. If he can beat Zverev, he faces the winner of, I'm not actually sure, I've lost my draw, but either way, he's got a huge confidence boosting win over Goffin the other day, and if he could beat Zverev, then he'll fancy himself to beat anybody in the world. As for Sasha Zverev, he's quietly working his way through the draw. He's playing very, very strong tennis. Obviously, when he came on the scene a few years ago, he was the next big thing. People were saying how many slams are you going to win? When's he going to be world number one? When's he going to win Wimbledon? He came through and he looked absolutely invincible at times. And then his career sort of went down a spiral for a couple of years. He struggled at Grand Slams. He didn't get past the third or fourth round for a couple of years, and I think he struggled under the pressure. The media put a hell of a lot of pressure on him, as did the German fans, and people were expecting him to win Grand Slams. He was 19 or 20-year-old, which was never going to be the case when you've got the big three there, and Stan Wawrinka, Andy Murray were there at the time. So it was very difficult for Zverev, and I felt a little bit sorry for him that his career went downhill, and I'm pleased this week that he's looking back to his best. He's coming back to form, and I hope he does. He's still a young man. He's still got a lot of learning to do, but there's no doubt in his talent. He is an outstanding tennis player. I thought Zverev was very clever before the tournament. Actually, took a lot of pressure off himself. He said in his press conference before the tournament even started that I'm not playing well. I'm just going to go into the tournament with a bit of freedom and see what happens. And I thought it was very clever of him. People didn't expect anything of Zverev when he said that, and I think that's almost, he's playing the underdog card, which is helping him. I also think that the thing about Tsitsipas and Medvedev coming through, Tsitsipas obviously winning the ATP World Tour Finals in November, came in this tournament, and a lot of people picked him to make the final. Daniel Medvedev, obviously after reaching the US Open final, many people predicted him to even win the tournament, and I think that's took a lot of pressure off Zverev, with him not making any runs at Grand Slams over the last couple of years. But I'm liking this new Zverev. I think he's got new tactics. I think a few years ago when the pressure was on him, he tried too hard to impress. His backhand is a great shot, but I feel like now he's being more patient with it. I thought he was rushing shots before, trying to redline the ball too early in rallies and making far too many unforced errors to win matches at this level. He was just being too aggressive for me. He's a great rallier. Zverev, there's no reason for him to attack like he was. 6'6", he's got a great serve. It allows him to construct points, and as long as he's clever with his play and use that serve to full effect, then there's no reason why he shouldn't have a huge run at this tournament. He's not making anywhere near as much unforced errors as he was. He's a little bit more conservative in his play, and I think that's suiting him. He's a very good rallier. He's very quick around the court for his height, and I like this new Sasha Zverev. I'm pleased that he's coming back to form, and I think if he wins this match, it's a real statement. It'll be a real big confidence booster. I think he did struggle for confidence at times last year. Obviously not managing to make any big runs at Grand Slams. I think he started to doubt himself. He went through a couple of coaches, but if he can beat a Rublev who's on a 12-match win streak and get into the quarter-final, then he might just start to think like, maybe this is me year, maybe this is the year I do break through and live up to all the hype that was around me a couple of years ago. And that would be nice for Zverev. I'm a huge fan of his. And lastly, we're going to look at the popcorn match. Not as good as match for me as Medvedev Wawrinka. I'm looking forward to that one more than this one. But Rafael Nadal and Kyrgios will nevertheless be such an entertaining match. Starting off with Kyrgios, he's serving exceptionally well throughout this tournament. His forehand looks very strong, and he loves these type of matches. He loves playing the big three, especially Nadal. He's actually beat Rafa 3 times, which I was surprised to read when I was doing my research for this match. But I think he could have done without a 5-set marathon against Khachanov the other day. He was 2-0 up in that match, Kyrgios, and he could have done with winning that one in straight sets if he was to beat Rafa. As we know, Kyrgios, he isn't the fittest on tour. He's not unfit by any means, but over 5 sets, he did look very strong in the latter stages of the tournament. If the match against Khachanov the other day, surprisingly winning that match deciding tiebreak 10-8. But he said after that his legs felt about 40 kilos, which isn't a great sign considering he's got to face Rafa Nadal tonight. And I do think that will upset him and stop his movement around the court that he will need to beat Rafa. You never know, he's difficult to play against. He often plays about with the umpire, doesn't he, and isn't always the most professional out on court. He upsets the rhythm match with his tweeners, and he's very clever how he uses them loopy backhands just to put off opponents. Really, he doesn't really allow them in the rhythm or to time the ball. But Rafa's Rafa. He loves these type of matches as well, when the crowd get really engaged, and when he's up against Rafa's almost the villain tonight. People will be wanting Kyrgios to win, obviously being in Australia. But Rafa loves these type of games where he can really get his teeth and he gets angry, and the last thing you want to play in tennis is an angry Rafael Nadal. There's nobody living with his forehand. I don't care who it is in the world, there's nobody beating Rafa's forehand. I think it's a case of Rafa turns up and plays his A game, serves and returns well, doesn't get embroiled in a real mental battle with Kyrgios, and Rafa wins comfortably. I've been impressed with Rafa so far this week. I think the court is suiting him, being slow. We all know how good he is in the rallies. I think he's being clever with his serve. His forehand looks very powerful as usual. One of the shots of the decade, if not the best shot of the decade. Although I do think Djokovic's return's better, but that's an argument for another day. But yeah, I think Rafa, if he turns up and plays his best tennis, I think he'll have Kyrgios moving around the court. I don't think Kyrgios will be at his 100% with that 5-set match the other day in round 3. I think Rafa is a very good problem solver. He'll know Kyrgios will not be feeling 100%. I'm anticipating Rafa playing a lot of drop shots, a lot of forehands wide, serving wide, keeping Kyrgios on the move all the time, not letting him set himself and open up his arms to release that massive forehand that he does possess. Other than the forehand that Kyrgios has, he doesn't have a lot to his game that can trouble Rafa, in my opinion. And I think Rafa will dictate this match. Kyrgios will fight hard, but the thing about Kyrgios to me is too inconsistent. He goes through lows in matches where he just makes too many errors for 5 or 10 minutes, and Rafa seizes upon them opportunities very well. Kyrgios just tends to just lapse in concentration for 2 or 3 games, and you can't do that against a player like Rafa. Rafa seizes that straight away and just rips through you, and that'll be the times I think will turn the match in Rafa's favour. So I expect Rafa to win this match in 3 sets. Kyrgios might nick a set, depending on his physical ability and his stamina. He might take the first set tiebreak, but I think if Rafa wins the first set, I do think it'll be 3-0. So that went on a bit longer than expected, but we've got 4 50-50 matches, I feel, apart from the Rafa one. I think all the other 3 matches could go either way, but it'll be a great night's tennis. Again, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll also be bringing out a preview of the last 16 women's matches, which I'll play later on, so check that out too. Thanks again, and I'll see you tomorrow for day 8 of the Australian Open 2020.